Greetings, greetings, Ghanaians. 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 Take a breath, take a deep in and out. Control breath from the abdomen to activate that aspect of the body, you know. Breathe from the belly as much as possible. Abdominal breathing. To activate the oxygenation of that part of the lungs, the lower part of the lungs that don't generally get activated and oxygenated. But you're doing it deliberately because this is how the organs of the body does be fed. They don't be fed by chest breathing and mouth breathing, you know, as we breathe normally because of the posture we're sitting in and the way we live this life, we're moving fast all the time. You're always hustling and late, so you're breathing from your chest because you're in flight, fright, and fight mode. You know, when you're in that state, the body not getting properly oxygenated, so the body can't work properly. The body don't need any help to function. You know, it don't need any help to heal itself or to defend against invasion. But the mode of fear, especially, there's another aspect too. Fear mode. It does create that zone of operation where you're breathing from your chest and you're in that mode. Adrenaline mode, flight, fright, and fight. You know? So I take a moment to, could call it a moment of silence, to reinforce the need to breathe properly. It might seem like, you know, nonsense considering the topics being discussed, but it is crucial. If you don't breathe properly, I'm going to put it this way: knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. That is a 1,000-year-old philosophy. Knowledge is power. So if you're gathering knowledge and you're not managing your power mechanisms, your power management mechanisms, you could overheat. You know, radiator, coolant, all these things have to be top up. And you top this up in your automobile with fluids, but you top it up in your body by breathing. Breathe properly. Take 21 deep breaths in and out from your abdomen. You're contracting your abdomen to force the air out. And you make a pot belly to suck the air in. So you're breathing from your abs, you're not breathing from your chest or your throat or your mouth. Whether you allow it to move in and out of your nose or your mouth, you could, wherever you prefer. But you're moving the air from your abs. 21 breaths like that, 3 times a day. Set an alarm on your phone 3 times in a day. When the alarm come on, you don't have to stop what you're doing. You could continue with what you're doing. You might be able to talk as much, but that could be part of the problem too, you're talking too much. You know? You take that time to breathe properly. 21 breaths 3 times a day. See what happens. Because as I say, it's knowledge increasing here, power increasing. Power is voltage, current. It increasing. The potential to have a high current flow increasing the more knowledge you have. So you have to breathe so that current will dissipate throughout the body. All the organs need it. That is why it's being produced. They need it. If you don't breathe properly, sections that need it wouldn't get it. So that means sections that don't need it would be getting it. You get overcharging, short circuiting. All these things will be happening. Right? So this video, I want to deal, before I get into it, this is an audio visual recording, time and date stamp in the archivable format for public notice. Just want to cover some of the questions raised about the video about showing my interaction with policy enforcers on the road in Port of Spain. That was May 2024 that happened. May 2024. Today is someday in March. Yeah, someday in March 2026. Right? So it's almost 2 years ago that particular incident took place. That document that I showed the enforcers there, that is my statutory declaration. And since I procured that document, I had that document stamped on the 14th of July 2022 by a notary public. Notary public is someone hired by the president to confirm fact. So July 2022, July 14th, 2022, I had that stamped by the notary public so that the president and her office would be aware of who I am. And since I did that, I never showed policy enforcers, aka police officers, on the roadways. I never showed them that permit. I never got into inspection of my private automobile, neither maintaining insurance. So that is when that incident took place. I have had, I would say, about a dozen interactions with policy enforcers in that kind of setting where they have a roadblock and they're asking for driving documents, and I explain myself to them, and we engage in a little back and forth where they pretend they don't know who I am and what Indigenous is about. They make some threats. It lasts a while. They attempt to engage in contract with me. I politely refuse, and eventually they would leave. That is how things operating with me since 2022. And that particular incident, that particular one on that recorded, that was 2024, and May 2024, up to now, nothing had happened. While they was handing it to me, I didn't manage to get that part on recording because the whole session, the whole session take about an hour and a half. I wasn't planning to meet them, so my phone wasn't fully charged. So, and then it had times where them just standing up there reading the document or something. I don't know what else to do. But giving the impression they're busy. So I would stop recording that time and things. So it had things that happened that wasn't recorded, but go long and short is I never paid that. I have no intention to pay that. That is between a corporate entity known as Maurice Acosta and another corporate entity known as Government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I am neither one of those things. I am Tahin, a living organic being. So I suggest to them, as I always say, when they come with that fiduciary instrument, that they should find that being, that entity, that person. A person is not a living being, a person is a corporation. That's what a person is. Look in the dictionary for person and see what it means. A person is a corporation. You have never heard the word person being used to describe a business in the sense that we know what a business is. They never call KFC a person. They never call Pepsi a person. They never call Nike a person. They never call, you understand? This only got the regional corporation, they never call it a person. So, how, in the name of France, a person could be a corporation, and we never use the word person to describe a corporation. Because what we're really doing is using the word person to describe a corporation. So that person that they say they own, that they create with full capital letters and register and creating certificates and titles for and engaging in corporate fraud with and human trafficking, that find that person, find that corporation, and let he touch up the next end of that ticket. I'm not part of that. That is what I was trying to explain to them. That is what I was trying to explain to them that day. Chapter 1, Part 1 of the Constitution, fundamental rights enshrined in towards all inhabitants, all human beings, all inhabitants. Fundamental human rights, the right to social, spiritual, health, education systems as you see fit. Right? Everyone has those rights. The only way these rights could be taken away or breached is by due process of law. Due process of law. So they create a due process of law that involves registering the baby by a document tender, otherwise known as a doctor, would register the baby for the Registrar General. You see it right in the term right there. General is war going on now. That is why the man who doing the registrations is a general. He's a general first and a registrar second. He's a general fighting for the invasion army, the invading army. Right? And his specific area of expertise deals with registration, because there's paper war going on the land. Using paper, they're fighting with paper, they're fighting with money. So all beings have the right except by due process of law. And you get involved in their law system by registering, by applying for things from them, by giving them authority, signing on lines labeled as authority by lines labeled with signature line. These words don't mean what they said they mean. These words give authority to. That is what they actually mean. Authorized by. That term, authorized by, in finance and law, it means give authority to. So you're signing on a line stating that you, as a living being, the creditor of the trust, the owner of the land, is giving your authority to this transaction here. You are giving you are giving up your authority to this transactor, the person, the company, and the header of the letter. They are who operating on your behalf. That is what you're doing. You're giving them authority to sign for you, to agree for you, to do things for you. And you don't even know that is what you're doing. Much less for them to be doing anything for you. You know? But it's all fraud, eh? It's all fraud because they claim to be operating in commercial law or admiralty law or contract law or law of the water. All these different terms, it means the same thing. It's how they function, how the government function. Agents of the government function. Admiralty, law of the water. So they claim to be operating that way. But one of the tenets of this type of operation is mutual agreement. Both parties must have mutual agreement. It must have mutual agreement. You can't have a contract and one man ain't know war going on. You know, it's not a contract. They own the two parties. So they saying it had mutual agreement. They own the two parties. So they say it have fair exchange. They don't have fair exchange. One party dead, the citizen dead. That is why the name written in full capital letters. That is why you sign on a line called given authority to. You give up your rights. So clearly you're dead now, boy. And you give up your rights to them. And the man in our operation that looking to mine you. Mine in the sense, not mine you like, take care of you. Mine in the sense want to extract energy out of you. That is what they're about. Another aspect of things is that earth, the word earth means dirt. Earth means dirt. So earth is not the name of the planet. All the planets made out of earth. The planet is Tiamat. This is from the Enuma Elish. This is knowledge gathered from 200,000-year-old tablets of the Sumerian age, and they tell stories about the creation and life on the planet in that time, and they describe the planet as being named Tiamat, and it seems that name is congruent with most real historical scriptures and knowledge and tablets. Tiamat. Tiamat is a female energy. The planet in itself is female. That is why it have a female name. The first human beings on the planet, according to the records, not me making this up, this is the records, the archaeological records, when they look at the hieroglyphs and the tablets and they decipher the meanings, they all accept that is what it is being described. They just tell us that they never find anything, But to have all the knowledge on the internet now, as a matter of fact, they make a big temple, pyramid find recently in Kentucky, North America. Big, complex, bigger, just dwarfing that big, massive thing in Egypt. And this thing, you could lose that pyramid in Egypt in this complex. Huge thing they thought was mountain is pyramid, man-built pyramid. So, all the knowledge coming forward. That is where all these secret societies and things were hiding. They have these groups of, knowledgeable guys. Men who doing the digging, the archaeologists who doing the decoding, the linguists of the time. They write all the books and things, and if they do agree to hide it, based on the secret society instructions, they go either lick them down, or if the being managed to outsmart them and still get the book printed, they will just buy all the books and hide it. But the knowledge coming out, if there's a site you could access, the Internet Archive. This is where Google a few years ago just went and scanned every single book they could find. They even scanned books that hidden in the Vatican, as they talk about this secret library in the basement of the Vatican. They scan books from there, and everything available to be accessed. They have fellas on YouTube like Kuramio Awa, the Shay Link regular, a brother, indigenous or original to Costa Rica, and he reading these books. He reading the book that written by the man who is the Dean of Studies at Harvard, or the former Senator of the United States, former President Theodore Roosevelt write books, and Abraham Lincoln. Let's have the next one. All these prominent guys write these books, recording these things, but they just hide it and tell us we know for sure that all we have. In our case here on this island, especially up to secondary level, there's just a story that somebody named some Tiloxing or something write a book and tell we that what happened. Columbus come and that what happened and that what happened. But where's your references? Where are your glossary of terms? What are you talking about? When you say Columbus was a white man, what do you mean by that? Nobody is a white man. So what do you mean by that? When you say Columbus reached, he was going India and he make a mistake. The place called India got its name in 1948. 1948. 1948. That place get its name India. Before that, the name of that place was Hindustan. So in Columbus time, it didn't have no India. At least it did not know India across the. That place did name Hindustan. The people who came from there are Hindus. And Hindus prevalent on the land, obviously. So people came from there. But this story about people coming from India, that is his story, not so? That is his story. That he thought he was going India, that is why he called the people Indians. No, it didn't have an India where India is. So if he reach here and he call the people Indians, then more than likely this is India. This is ancient India. This is these ancient lost lands that there are records of and stories about, but for some reason we can't find them. Meanwhile, it have a set of people on these lands who, for some reason, don't know who they are, don't know where they came from. So we need to be clear on things. So I'll stop there for now and follow up with another one soon. Notice the agent is notice the principle, and notice the principle is notice the agent. What do I? I was recording, but you come and cut in front, I never know.